Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new UK exclusive Tales of the Tardis. And I know what you're thinking, but Prowl, you're in the States. You're not able to watch Tales from the Tardis. I have seen most of them. There's only one I haven't seen. I've seen the others. One of my subscribers is a very clever fellow. The only one I haven't seen is Three Doctors because the one that was set up for that doesn't seem to be working. I think it's being worked on. So I haven't seen the Three Doctors one, but I have watched the others. And I enjoyed them, actually. I didn't know how I felt about this when it was announced. Felt a little fan servicey, which there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, a lot of it didn't make sense. If they're in character, how could they be older? You know, they never got to be that old in the show. Is it just something, you know, for nostalgia to make us go? And on one hand, it's definitely nostalgia. But on the other hand, it does it in a way that works. Like, I can actually accept this as canon. The way they do it and the way I can headcanon it. It works for me as canon. My least favorite was probably the Time Meddler one. And I mean, it's great to see Steven and Vicky back, and Peter and Maureen are doing a great job. And the ending of it, where you just hear the, it is a great ending. I did enjoy that ending. It just, the music there swells a little too much. That happens occasionally, and it's not the actual music that's the problem, it's just the sound mixing, where the music occasionally gets a little louder than it needs to be. And the fact that their main wish was to see the Doctor one more time, and well, you'd have felt right silly if it hadn't worked, wouldn't you? That was my least favorite. I still found it enjoyable, but it's the only one of the five that I was just kind of like, meh. The others I really liked. It was great seeing Jamie and Zoe back together. I absolutely love Jamie and love Zoe. And it's great to see Fraser and Wendy back in their roles. I love the fact they got their memories back. It's always been a crime to me that they were taken away. And it's still a shame it took them so long in their lives to get them back. But I love the fact they have their memories back. The memories are supposed to be permanently back. I love the exchange between them. I love learning that Jamie has 5 daughters and 19 grandchildren. And that Vicky has a son named James after him, even though she didn't know she was naming him James after Jamie. And that she's like president now. That's awesome. So to know that they had happy lives and they're doing good things is pretty cool. My favorites were definitely the ones with the Doctors, though. Those really popped for me. It's always nice to see Peter and Janet together, whether they're the actors or they're the characters. I don't know why, but just in real life, they have really good chemistry. The way they pick at each other, you can tell they're really good friends, and that comes across when they're in character across from each other. They just seem to get on really well. And I enjoy that classic Who sometimes did not deal with emotional fallout well, like the death of Adric or the death of Nissa's father. These are things that kind of quickly got glossed over in the show. So it's kind of nice that we retroactively here get Tegan and even the Doctor kind of grappling and emotionally dealing with Adric's death. It's kind of nice to get that, almost like therapy. I enjoyed that. Tegan's a little nicer than she should be. They still get their digs at each other because that's Peter and that's Janet and that's the 5th Doctor and that's Tegan. So they get their little fun, but it is definitely more playfully poking fun, which in real life it really is playfully poking fun. But since this seems to me to happen post Power of the Doctor, Tegan is of course forgiven the Doctor for all of the stuff, the grudge she was holding against the Doctor in Power of the Doctor. And she just seems happier not only to see the Doctor again, but to see her Doctor again. And, you know, I suspect she's doing other things, like probably working with UNIT now. And Tegan's one of those people that likes to have a purpose. So I feel like Tegan, post-Power of the Doctor, is in a good place, a happy place. She's found herself. She knows her purpose. And so this just naturally makes her a happier, more grateful to be alive type person, which explains why she's acting like this. Peter slips back into the role effortlessly and plays the 5th Doctor well. That was a really, really fun scene. The Colin and Perry, or Colin and Nicola with the Doctor and Perry, I like. I love the fact, even though he's not in his coat is hanging up. I enjoy their scenes together. They're really funny listening to the Sixth Doctor and Perry talk. I love that bit at the end when she's like, the Doctor and the Warrior Queen, and Colin's just like, whoa, I like that. And they all start hitting the buttons to go, I like that. And then it mentions, you know, I still want to stop by once a year to visit the king to honor and remember him, which ties in, of course, with the mini story where she does visit, you know, kind of the king's grave where a statue is, which I like that. I like the fact they're tying it in with the mini story. One, showing that the newer mini stories are also canon, but also that these are canon as well. I like how they're tying those together. What really impressed me is Colin's acting in this. So it's interesting going from the introduction with them to the actual episode to the outro with them. Because when you're in the episode, Colin's kind of doing his theatrical over-the-top acting that grates on me sometimes. But then you watch the newer film footage and he's so great. It shows just how much he's grown as an actor, in my opinion, how much he's grown into the role of the Doctor. How much Big Finish probably helped with that. Because his acting in the intro and outro is just phenomenally good. I really loved it. He just felt perfect and on point. The Seventh Doctor one was really good. Sylvester and Sophie always slip back into their roles really easily. And I love the fact it addresses their rough parting. Once again, something, because Classic Who ended, we never really got a resolution for what happened with Ace and the Doctor. And it had always been fan theory, and I think novelizations in the 90s, that they had a kind of a rough parting. This was touched on in Power of the Doctor. It's nice that we actually got to see them emotionally dealing with that. And how the Seventh Doctor kind of manipulated and used her, even if a lot of times it might have been for her own good or for the universe's own good, in things like Curse of Fenric and Ghostlight. But it's nice to kind of see them talk about it, discuss it, again, therapy, and work it out. And they're great in the role. Again, you can tell Sylvester and Sophie get on well. They even share a birthday, as I recall. So I really enjoyed that with them. They got on really well. I don't know which one was my favorite. It has to be one of the three with the Doctors. But they were really, really good. I like the little, as somebody on one of the Doctor Who forums put it, the fact that 13's TARDIS right there on the floor is kind of like a campfire for them to sit at and sit around the fire, so to speak. That's a neat way to incorporate Whittaker's TARDIS in a mini form as a campfire. I enjoyed that. The TARDIS itself looks neat. It is a remembered TARDIS, so it should have little bits and bobs from all the different Doctors. And I like that it's smaller and cozier, as Colin puts it. It's a nice little TARDIS for what they're doing here. I love how they tie it in with other things in Classic Who. There was another point I was going to make. I can't remember what it was, but a reference they make that really ties it in with something in Classic Who I like. And how they, again, tie it in with some of the mini-episode stuff. It's really, really good. Now, the actual episodes, I didn't watch them. I just watched the intro and the outro, but I kind of skimmed through the episodes. And you can tell they're using older versions of it. Like, these are not the Blu-ray masters. They're probably the DVD releases, because the Time Meddler one looked kind of rough. I mean, I just watched the Season 2 box set Time Meddler a few days ago. So the difference between the quality of the Blu-ray box set, which was a fresh remaster, and the one that's on streaming in Tales of the TARDIS is hugely different. Because I believe that was the DVD release, which I don't even think had been vid-fired. It was just interesting how much of a difference it made, because it was a big difference. I noticed it when I was watching some of the other stories too, like Earthshot and Curse of Fenric, when I was kind of skimming through them. The colors looked a little duller. They didn't pop as much because, again, they probably hadn't had much restoration work done on them. Whereas on the bottom, and maybe I'm just getting spoiled watching the Blu-ray versions so much now that that's just in my mind, the definitive versions of these stories, that when I see like old masters and the DVD versions, I'm just kind of like, oh, it looks so flat. And on one hand, it's a shame that the people streaming these who are using this kind of maybe an entry point into Classic Who aren't getting the definitive versions of these stories, the best versions of these stories, the best masters of these stories, that they're getting older quality versions of these stories. So they're not seeing these stories at their best. So they might look at it and go, man, this looks old and bad. I can't do it. And it's a shame because there might be better versions of it they could enjoy more. On the other hand, since we're paying for these box sets, we probably should get the premium versions of them. Because, you know, we pay, and these sets are starting to get a bit pricey. They are constantly going up in price. That we deserve to have kind of the exclusive hold over the, you know, the remastered, the upscaled, the updated special effects and all that. We should have all of that because we pay for that. So I can understand both sides of that argument. I do know when I was watching Earthshock or skimming through Earthshock, I was like, it doesn't have the updated effects. I can't watch this. I need my updated laser effects and I need the ship to actually crash into a planet. So it's weird that they don't use like the definitive version of the stories, again, on one hand. But on the other hand, hey, I'm paying to have those rights. You know, when I watch the Season 19 box set, I can watch Earthshot with updated effects because I paid for that. But someone going into these who isn't familiar with Classic Who might not even realize there's the option for updated effects. They might just be watching Earthshot going, pretty good story, but man, those effects, I wish they were better. And I'm sitting here going, they are, I promise they are. So, I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. And it's easy for me to headcanon this into being canon. Because what if they're meeting telepathically through their dreams? Like Tegan mentions she went to bed and woke up there. What if they're dreaming themselves there because the remembered TARDIS is using telepathic circuits. And so they're waking up in the remembered TARDIS as kind of like somehow they're connecting through their mind, through dreams, even though it's still really them meeting. This would also explain why the Doctor could look however the Doctor wants. Since the Doctor is asleep, he or she can take whatever form they want. So it takes an older version of the 5th Doctor, or the 7th Doctor, or the 6th Doctor. It explains why these people are able to just meet randomly across time. It's because it could be because they're asleep and the TARDIS is tapping into that with its telepathic circuits. Although McCoy doesn't give a great line about, you know, in some timelines I regenerate, in some timelines I don't. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. And I'm fine with that exception. It's a bit of a throwaway line, but it works for me. And of course it would be the 7th Doctor to say something like that with all this machinations, however you want to say it. So that makes sense. So I really liked Tales of the TARDIS. I do count it as canon. And it's nice to see if maybe they play into that, like the Doctor ends up running into Jamie or Zoe. It would explain why they would remember the Doctor. They wouldn't have to go through a lot of mess in the episode about why they remember. It's been established here for that. So hopefully Tales of the TARDIS will continue. I'd love to see one with McGann. We all want one with McGann. I'd love to see one with Tom. If Tom, I don't know what Tom's health is, but if Tom can do one and is willing to do one, I'd love to see him back. I love Tom Baker, and we need more McGann. So I hope we get more of these because I found them very, very enjoyable. So I want to know what you think of Tales of the TARDIS. I do still need to see the 3 Doctors one. Comment down below and let me know other things to do. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. A link to that's down in the description below. Several different tiers there to choose from. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference. I have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. That's down there, as is a link to my Amazon wish list, which I update regularly, and a link to my Amazon UK wish list. I think I just added the Blackadder Blu-ray they're about to release on there. Blackadder is probably my favorite British show, even more so than Doctor Who. I love Blackadder. And I have the DVD box set, but I'd love to get that Blu-ray box set. That would be a fun thing to do reviews of. Is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching. Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Tales from the TARDIS. Is that it? Tales from the TARDIS, from the TARDIS, from the TARDIS, of the TARDIS. Let's try that again.